Don't let artificial intelligence replace you.
Hi.
Artificial intelligence is everywhere, and it can do everything way better than you can. Pretty much. My name is Dave. I run an independent brand called Honestly Clothing, and I want to help you live the life you really want by helping you to become supremely self-aware and financially independent. Just like every other major development over the course of the last billion years, artificial intelligence is being met with a lot of fanfare and hype. It's kind of like the Industrial Revolution all over again. There's all these new machines and there's these new things that people can tinker with, and it's making productivity shoot through the roof, and things are really easy to make now. I think that a lot of people are very hopeful that AI can change the future for the better and that it can also make people a lot of money, but you have to be willing to fully embrace it. So some controversy has kind of entered the picture about artificial intelligence because it's able to create these masterful works of art and these perfectly written, articles and books, and even make music that sounds exactly like Drake.
I came in with my ex like Selena.
But with all these creative things that computers can now generate, I think that people really need to put more of an emphasis on the human side of creating things. There needs to be even more emphasis on the story behind them. Before, in the past, historically, the advancements were usually made in people's ability to do manual labor tasks. If there were repetitive motion tasks, that eventually there was some machine that basically made it, made the people who were doing those tasks obsolete. Artificial intelligence is kind of in the same vein as that. But before, when things were usually about making tasks more efficient and easier to do, and changing them from people to machines, artificial intelligence is really about thinking and creating faster. So this can have some downsides, but at the same time, it can lead to ridiculous productivity. And I think this is the reason why a lot of people are so hopeful for what it can achieve in the future. Artificial intelligence is making things that we did before in the past that were boring and mundane. It's making them completely obsolete. But it's able to perform the tasks so quickly that us as humans pretty much just can't keep up. So the good thing is that we don't have to waste our time and energy on tasks and processes that don't really add any value to the end result. And of course, this is affecting the job market because most of us do what I would consider to be busy work. Things that on paper serve a purpose, or maybe even an important purpose, but don't really contribute anything to the bottom line, and they definitely don't contribute anything to moving the needle on any kind of historical basis. They just aren't really necessary to do. But people need jobs because people need money. And some people look at jobs like that's their purpose. So people need purpose. But AI does not complain. AI does not ask for more money, and AI does not take sick days whenever it just doesn't want to come into work. So if you take most people who aren't really doing anything that they're passionate about, they just can't compete with that. And that is why it looks a little bit scary. And this is exactly why your story matters. If you really want to succeed in life, you have to tell your story. Your story is what makes you relatable to people and allows you to connect with them. So if you're selling a product or a service, or even if you just want to share some of your expertise about a particular topic, sharing your story is what's going to allow them to build trust with you so that they actually take what you're saying into consideration or take you up on the offers that you're presenting to them. Automation is nice, but there is nothing like good old-fashioned storytelling and really just human-to-human connection. And this is even what's at the core of my own brand. I enjoy being able to connect with people, not as the projections that we want to be seen as, but just as the real and authentic versions of ourselves. And this is what has become my mission. I want to wake people up out of this sleepwalking state where they're just being pushed around by popular opinions. Because things, they change all the time. Opinions change all the time. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't change, but we shouldn't change based off of opinions. And this is kind of a side note, but this is the reason why I hate college. College is completely filled to the brim with busy work. They are literally training people to do things that are going to either be done by computer programs or AI bots in the very near future. College is a factory. College is a scam. And I say this being somebody who's earned a college degree myself and paid for it. Most people who have suffered through the requirements of earning a college degree look at it like we've earned something, like we have achieved something that qualifies us for success, when really all we have is usually student loan debt and something that depreciates in value with every graduating class that comes after us. And the ironic thing is that the cost of college increases every year. So you're paying more for something that is worth less and less. So I'm not telling you to drop out of college, even though maybe you should consider it. Consider it based off of your own situation, your own circumstances. So I know that my stance on college education is upsetting to some people, but I don't care. Because in my experience, people who do really well in college and put a lot of weight on college degrees and titles and positions tend to not be very good at thinking for themselves, and they don't really know how to operate unless they're working within a specific framework. So they can't think for themselves, but you know what else can't think for itself? Artificial intelligence. So all my new age college students who are using ChatGPT to do your assignments and to write your papers, I don't blame you, because I would be doing the exact same thing if I was in school when that stuff was around. And if I was a college professor, I would actually be cool with it, because a professor's job is to teach and inspire, not just giving out busy work to fulfill requirements. ChatGPT is great for identifying things that are useless. But consider this, because if I could literally get a college degree using ChatGPT, why would anybody hire somebody with that degree? Because artificial intelligence can clearly do the same thing. Why wouldn't I just use ChatGPT instead of hiring somebody else to use it for me? I'd rather just save the cost and hop online. So just time out for that, because before you leave a hateful comment and unsubscribe from the channel, there are some degrees that are very useful. In fact, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, if there is some kind of a framework where you have to have a certain threshold of information to actually prove that you belong in that field, obviously I'm okay with education that is for that purpose. And I feel like I'm pretty radical on my thoughts about this, but I wouldn't trust somebody to pull my wisdom teeth if they watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it. Maybe somebody would be able to do that, but I don't necessarily want to be the guinea pig to see if that actually works. And I think that this is really what is at the core of the issue. This is what is at the core of the people being replaced by robots kind of fear that's going on. If robots are getting better and better at acting like humans and creating things according to the same processes that humans use, it seems to me like the innovation would mostly lie in the human side of creating things. We have to be able to create things that connect and emotionally move people, and I think that artificial intelligence programs definitely have limits when it comes to doing that. So of course, I know that there are still people who are going to want to automate everything. They're going to want to use a computer to generate products that are just good enough, and they'll be able to produce a profit each and every month, day in, day out, like clockwork. And if your goal is just making money as easily as possible, which is not as attractive as it sounds, then this is probably exactly what you should be doing. You're a weasel, so go about weasel ways in making money. But if your goal is to really motivate and inspire and move people emotionally, then you need to be willing to dive into the emotional aspect of being a human, because that is what connects us. Don't just maximize your money-making potential by having an AI program generate a good enough product. And like I said, I know that there are plenty of weasels that are going to go out and do this, but I guess we just have to take the bad with the good, just like in anything else. So I am speaking to the people that don't want to just make money for the sake of making money. Like, yes, I want you to make money. I want you to be prosperous, but at the same time, I want you to be able to engage in things that you are passionate about. I actually think that over-reliance on AI is the biggest threat to humanity. So I'm not an idiot. I know that Elon Musk and a bunch of other super smart guys said that AI is the biggest threat to humanity in the future. I would like to counter that, or not necessarily counter, but to really kind of segue from that into saying that over-reliance on AI is the biggest threat to humanity. I can totally see people being unable to think for themselves, generate ideas for themselves, or even communicate with each other effectively, at least. And I truly believe that once we get to the point where humans cannot connect with one another, that is when we are truly screwed. I mean, we are already disconnected enough, and this is barely starting. So, long story short, I don't necessarily believe that AI is a bad thing. I don't believe that it's necessarily this great thing that's just going to revolutionize, every aspect of our existence. I think that it is going to have a sizable impact on products and services, but at the core of it, I think that we are connected and we are driven to each other by our shared human experience. So this is my opinion about artificial intelligence, not like you asked for it or anything. I really felt like I wanted to jump in on the conversation and kind of share some of my thoughts and opinions about, how I felt about how things currently are in the direction that they're going to go in the future, which I have some pretty radical ideas. Well, maybe not radical. I have some pretty interesting ideas about the future of work and creativity and all kinds of stuff. But I really believe that the bigger idea of emotional connection is something that rings true to my own personal beliefs of supreme self-awareness and financial independence for each and every person on the planet. My message is to tell people that your power is in your crazy and your strength is in your story, meaning that You're crazy is the things that make you kind of quirky, the things that make you different. There's power in that, because if you just try to maximize the things that make you like everybody else, then you'll just be invisible. And I don't know why anybody would want to be invisible. And your strength is in your story means that all of us have a different experience of life on this planet. All of us have different experiences of how we grew up. We grew up in different households. And even though we may have some experiences that are similar to others, I think that there's a lot of power in our perspective and the way that we interpret individual things, and kind of how we take things from a micro scale and put them on a macro scale, how we make things make sense to us. I think that there is a lot of strength in that, and that is what we really need to share with each other, because that is how we can kind of collectively strengthen ourselves as a group of people. So I really think that leaning into your own self-awareness is something that's going to make you not replaceable by artificial intelligence, but it is also something that can be your competitive advantage as you grow and change over time. So subscribe. I'm actually really interested to hear what people have to say about what they think about artificial intelligence. Do you think that it's, no big deal, or do you think that it's something that's ultimately going to put us on that kind of apocalyptic crash course with a Skynet future where robots turn around and kill all of us from Terminator? Do you think that it's just a big bunch of hoopla about nothing? So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you taking your time to support the channel, and I will see you in the next video.